Recorded Books presents The Children of Kings by Marion Zimmer Bradley and Deborah J. Ross, narrated by Max Bellmore. Chapter 1. The disk of Darkover's bloody sun had barely risen beyond the walls and towers of Thendara, and icy chill still haunted the shadows. A brisk wind swept the sky clear of clouds. The branches of the trees in the gardens of the old town trembled. Lavender and white blossoms unfurled amid the new leaves. The air no longer smelled of old layered ice and sodden wool, but of fresh growing things. The roads had been open for a 10-day, even as far as the Kilgard Hills. Traders reached the city, bringing goods and gossip. The open-air markets offered spring onions and an array of early fruits, a welcome change from boiled roots and porridge. The rising sun lit the ancient castle of the Coman, where it stood like a city unto itself, with its walls and spires, domes and courtyards, the barracks and training yards of the city guard, and ballrooms and living quarters for the ruling families when they were in town. A crowd gathered outside the main gates. Their mood was festive, the dark hues of winter garb brightened by garlands of early blooming ice lilies. The gates swung open, and a contingent of city guards came out, clearing an open path. Then came more armed men mounted on sturdy horses. People waved, and someone played a lilting air on a wooden flute. The leader of the guards smiled and nodded, although his gaze never stopped moving across the assembly, and one hand remained on the hilt of his sword. Just inside the gates, a second, much smaller group gathered, household servants and a scattering of richly dressed Coman lords and ladies. In the center of the courtyard, a party of riders mounted up. The horses stamped and snorted, their breath turning into plumes of white vapor. Servants and baggage handlers finished securing the coverings on a laden wagon. From the shelter of an arched, deep-set castle doorway, Gareth Marius Danvan Elhalyn Hastur watched the preparations for leave-taking. The slanting morning light touched his hair, which had darkened from childhood flaxen to red gold, and the fine planes of his face, reflecting the compelling masculine beauty of his lineage. His cloak, although of soft lamb's wool, bore no badge or identifying mark, neither the blue and silver fir tree of his Hastur father, nor the tree and crown of his royal Elhalyn mother. Neither of his parents was present, having passed the winter at Elhalyn Castle with his younger brother and sister. He was not alone, for he was rarely unattended, either by castle guards, personal servants, or the courtiers who lived in Thendara or had journeyed here as soon as the roads were open. Ordinarily, he was so well guarded that he had never yet had occasion to use the sword hanging at his belt, except in daily practice. Today, however, no one attempted to draw him into conversation. Perhaps the early hour caused his presence to go unnoticed. The foremost rider was a man of middle years, the gold of his hair laced lightly with frost. Like the woman beside him, he wore warm, brightly colored travel clothing. His fur-lined cloak draped over the rump of his horse, one of the fabled Armida blacks. He smiled and lifted one hand in greeting to the crowd beyond the gates. They shouted and clapped. "Don Mikhail, the regent!" The woman colored a little. Her horse, a gray of the same fine breeding as her husband's, pranced and pulled at the bit. She quieted the horse with a touch, and as she did so, the hood of her cloak slipped from her head, revealing a crown of feather-soft, coppery hair. A sigh swept the crowd outside. The cheers diminished into whispers of awe. "Lady Margarita!" Mikhail Leonard Hastur gave his wife a crooked smile. "They cheer me, but you they offer greater honor. I don't know whether to be relieved or proud." A trick of the acoustics in the courtyard carried their voices to where Gareth stood. He felt as if he were eavesdropping on a private family conversation, and wished he hadn't come. He pressed his back against the stone doorway. "I wish they wouldn't," Margarita Alton replied in a low voice. "I'd much rather be respected for what I've achieved than for the color of my hair. We can't take a simple vacation without all this fuss." "It's gratitude, Preciosa." "Mick, the trailman's fever was 2 years ago." "Darkovans have long memories."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?